there's different kinds of shading techniques that I think, I mean, a lot of us learn. There's like stippling, which I don't never use unless I'm doing stars. Maybe when I was a kid, I would do this, but I'm not very good at it. But there's nothing wrong with it. It's just I don't really use it. You can use it, say like, and I'm not doing this any justice at all, but like, you know, you can add different kinds of texture and stuff. Let's say it's a golf ball. I don't know. It's a planet. Who knows? And then if you leave this overexposed over here, it'll make it feel the light is coming down from this angle. And then of course you can still do your, again, I'm terrible at this, but this is something that you could do. It takes a lot of practice, a lot of effort, I feel like, to do properly. I'm kind of lazy when I draw, so I don't do that. There's scribble. A lot of people, which I do this a lot, you know, you just kind of chaotically draw all over. And then there is contour shading or contour lines, where you go, if you've ever seen the AT&T ball, that's kind of contour lines, but you do this kind of thing. It's all just different texture, a different look, and I think it's preference, to be honest. In my opinion, it's preference. And then, of course, something that we use this a lot, and I say we, but this is pretty popular in comics, is hatch shading. Cannot draw a circle to save my life today. So you might do, let's say, it's very common cartoony shading, and I don't do it perfectly. I mean, plenty of people do, but I don't really care to. You know, you might have it looking like chaotic looking like I do. It's all preference by L'Oreal. I'm kind of chaotic when I do stuff, so there are some ideas for shading. And there's also, you can smudge. Now, when I like smudging a lot if you're trying to go for something realistic looking, because light is very rarely clean. I mean, textures are very rarely that clean. So let's say we'll put the light coming from that way. If I'm doing that, I might just take the smudge, and I'm using, this is the Painterly blender I'm using. It's like a smudge, like a finger smudge, but let's just use a soft blend. If you used your finger, it kind of does this on paper. But like a subtle soft blending like this. You know, this is smudging, smearing, whatever you want to call it. And it works really well with graphite on paper. And it's good to kind of keep that ball texture refined. That's just what I do. Like I said, I don't really honestly ever use this. I scribble a lot. I do use contours, and I do use hatching, and I do render like this with smudging. Yeah, the idea of stipple shading, like I said, I don't do it well, is very carefully, like almost like freckles, you know what I mean? They're very, very tight. They're almost like you're just touching. On paper, it's easier with like a pen. I just don't do this very often. Again, it's really cool for specific kinds of textures and things. Like you might even combine the two. Like say if you have the smudge over here, you might want to add some texture using that, or even like some hatching. It really entirely depends on how you want it to look. You might use some scribble. You know, it's again entirely up to you. But maybe blend out some of that there. And if you want it to look realistic, by the way, you want to soften those edges, but also have it hard lined. And if you can get it all the way down to the white, it'll feel a little bit more overexposed like that. Because of how the ball works, how the shading works on the ball, you want to make sure that it's like that. You want to give it some solid shading underneath. keep its refined days. Keep it refined. But yeah, this is kind of like the idea of rendering, is that you're taking your sweet time to really make things look softer. It's like it's harder to tell. In comics, a lot of times you'll see people do full coloring and shadows and highlights and midtones and all that stuff, and that's considered rendering as well. It's more like it's refining the drawing is what you're doing.